The My Main View rectangle is now a component containing an image placeholder. Let's now add some actual images to it. Go to the menu bar and select View, Workspaces, and Essentials. This opens up a predefined 2D Essentials workspace, which includes all the views you need when working with 2D. As we selected a different workspace, the views changed places a bit. The Projects and Navigator views are now at the bottom left corner. In Projects, select My Main View Rectangle.ui.qml. At the bottom, you can see the states view. There we already have the base state, which is the component we have created previously. By clicking the plus icon, create 3 more states. Name them as Lagoon, Space, and Default. Select the Lagoon state and the image placeholder. In the Properties, select the drop-down menu on the source row and select lagoon.jpg. This is one of the images you previously imported to Assets. Select the space state and do the same, but select the planet.png. Next, select the default state and hover the mouse next to its name. A knob icon appears. Click on it and select Set as Default. We can now live preview our application. First, select Screen 01. You need always select the Screen 01 when you want to preview the whole application. Select the Play button on top of the form editor. Select Save All. Now you can see your application. At this point, it only shows the empty base state, because we haven't yet given any triggers on how to change the states. Let's go back to Screen 01. Type Round Button in the Components View search bar, and drag a Round Button component into the form editor. Change the button's ID to Lagoon Round Button. Let's also change the text on the button to Lagoon. You can change the button's appearance as you wish. I'll bold and increase the font and increase the button's size. Select the button and copy and paste it. Change the new button's ID to Space Round Button and change the text. Type Item in the Components View search bar, and drag an item component into the form editor and wrap it around the buttons. Name the item as Round Button Item. Make the buttons its children by dragging them under the item in the Navigator view. Now, we can give anchors to the buttons similarly as we did before with the main view rectangular. Select the Lagoon button and anchor it vertically. You can also set the margins. Do the same for the Space button. Now, if you change the item size, the margins remain the same. The item element is useful, for example, if you need to bind the button's visibility properties to other components. Later in this course, you will learn what I mean by that. Select the Lagoon button again and in the Properties, select Checkable and Exclusive. Do the same for the Space button. Now, when we preview the application, we can check the buttons. If we wouldn't have the exclusive selection in place, the checked button would remain checked even after another button has been checked. In our case, we want only one button to be checked at a time. But the buttons don't do anything yet. Let's go back to our main view rectangular. Select the Lagoon state. Click on the knob icon next to its name and select Set When Condition. A pop-up window appears. This is a binding editor. With bindings, you can tie together the properties of two different components. We want the Lagoon state to activate when the Lagoon button is checked. The binding to do that is Lagoon round button.checked. With this binding, we bind the Lagoon button's checked property to the Lagoon state of our component. Type the binding to the text field and click OK. Do the same to the space state, but only this time the button's name is Space Round Button. Last, we want the default state to be active before either of the buttons is checked. To the default state's binding editor, type Lagoon round button.checked and Space round button.checked. Check the not box. Design Studio automatically adds an exclamation point at the beginning, which means not. This binding now means that the default state is visible when neither of the buttons is checked. Now, when we go to screen 01 and preview the application, the different states activate when we click on the buttons. So there we have it, our first user interface interaction.